Welcome. These will be my thoughts on The Ninth Jedi, Season 1, Episode 4, Nawaam Attacks. The episode is for ages 12 and up, so will this video be? There will be spoilers for these 4 episodes, as well as the backdoor pilot on the original Star Wars Visions. Possibly also other Star Wars media, but not for any episodes after this one of this show. Haven't watched any of them yet. And another episode that I absolutely loved. They're at a 100% for that. So yeah, the episode before this one was this more like kind of just accepting certain things, and then this one is more like tense, and we again get some really major reveals. So very, very cool. And I think I'm going to try to keep this chronological from here on out. So, yeah, very effective there at the start where Nawaam's forces, well, attack. And yeah, they come right out and call the refugees. They don't tiptoe around it, so I'm really appreciative of that. And they even have this thing of like, well, yeah, you know, look at what the villain is doing, attacking refugees. I don't think that was a completely accidental thing to put in a piece of media today. Um, you know, Star Wars has been quite, originally was very far left. These days, somewhat more playing it safe, but still, a lot of people still not on board with refugees being human beings, that we should do what we can to help. So I do appreciate this show trying to, yeah, um, engender that, normalize that. Now, I think the next thing, so they attack the refugees, and the others try to, use their larger ships as like a shield against that, and yeah, the let's see. Yeah, so that's when the I forget, do we cut to Ethan at this point, or is that only later? I think it's a little later, so let's stay with the Nawaam and the others. So yeah, very, very exciting when there's the boarding, and they, you know, good use of, I'm gonna go ahead and guess, bounty hunters? Bounty hunters worked with the Empire as well, and fight in a somewhat different way. And there were bounty hunters working for Nawaam in the backdoor pilot as well. And let's see, I think this is where we get the so they're moving through the hallway, and then some of the people of Bibin start fighting. That was very, very cool. And it's difficult. This bounty hunter with those grenades and such. Yeah, and I think that is when I feel like that's when we see Ethan for the first time, and yeah, he makes his way to where they've said it enough times. I really should be able to remember the name. But I do not. The Simu Liu character, Kara's father. And yeah, the the conversation there, and this thing of like, yeah, the thing about, so the I'm afraid I cannot leave here. And then, he's like, okay, never mind, you know what? I'm just gonna have to do it myself. That's all. That's how powerful he is. And yeah, he just needed pep talk, I guess. No, seriously though, to realize just how bad things were. And yeah, so he tells Ethan, step aside. And I just want Ethan to respond, would it be okay if I backed up instead? Because I'm sorry, if I take like 2 steps to the side, I will fall off into what is, for all intents and purposes, a bottomless pit. The dark side still does not believe in guardrails. And I think that brings us back to the, yeah, so in addition to the right, yeah, that's the part where we have so yeah, Master Juro tells Kara, yeah, he and the other Jedi and even the Kawan go with their lightsabers to fend off the forces in the hallway. But yeah, Juro tells Kara, you stay here, you're in command. Juro, I appreciate how much faith you have in her. I just want to make sure you realize that bit in Aliens where a very specific character says, why don't you put her in charge? He was being sarcastic. Seriously though, great to see Kara being given so much responsibility. Of course, it doesn't end the best, but that's not her fault. And yeah, Nawaam, walking down, he takes an elevator and then, disables it, and he has some kind of really horrible gripe with the light fixtures of this hallway because he is just knocking out every single one of them as he moves. Seriously though, very, very effective build-up, and yeah, the fight between the... Okay, so there's several things. Yeah, the fact that at first it's it's Kara and Nawaam. Juro isn't there right away. And I'm genuinely thinking, I guess Kara's gonna die. I don't really know how else this would end. It was still satisfying, obviously, but yeah, and the thing with yeah, the blue lightsaber is like Jedi, Sith, such archaic words for someone so young. And the smoke that it's essentially there for atmosphere, but also tactics. It allows for a sneak attack, and yeah, the thing about how it's not the Simu Liu character is directly training. Kara is still the only Padawan he's ever had, but he has learned an invaluable... Nawaam has learned an invaluable lesson from him, and yeah, very cool. He was one of the kids there. Yeah, that would and Liu tells Ethan, he saw it years ago and warped his mind. And yeah, just an incredible fight, like like the best lightsaber battles in Star Wars media. Not only is it really tense and exciting, like who's gonna win, it's also this thing of like something really meaningful is being communicated between them, And let's see. Did I already mention in one of the other videos on the show? Of course, it has to have something to do with someone's father because it's Star Wars. And there's some kind of relevation about them. And yeah, Juro tosses a bit of debris in order to protect Kara, which does have me wondering if that couldn't just as easily have hit her, but okay. And I'm sure he has great aim, and she is strong with the Force and all. But yeah, and the mask coming off. I will say I think they maybe should cool it a tiny bit on this thing of like Star Wars characters taking their mask off. Oh, they're just young and conventionally attractive, because they've kind of done that a bunch in recent years. You know, I think it might be time. I'm not saying never do it again. Just take a break from it. That's all. And let's see. Yeah, the silver thing, and he defeats Joro. And very cool about the what's it called? The cutting up cutting apart the lightsaber, and then of course Nawaam uses the Force. And I think that pretty much, yeah, and good detail that Juro fades out of existence. It's I've seen some Jedi die in recent memory that did not use that. I'm not saying it has to be universal, but I just appreciate when someone remembers something that used to like be considered the norm because it was in the original trilogy. And I think that's when, yeah, so Ethan and Liu and Four Nines get to the hangar bay and try to open the pod bay doors, and the last Sith is like, I'm sorry, I can't let you do that. And yeah, it was really great. The thing about like, well, I mean, I'm obliged to let you stay. If you get on your hands and knees and beg, maybe I'll let your friend here live. Okay, here's what's going to happen. You are going to let him leave, and I will do you the courtesy of sparing your life. Does that work for you? And yeah, the guy's like, no, I don't actually need your mercy. And then it turns out he very much does. And watching Four Nines with the electrified saw blade was also really badass. Pretty sure I made one of those in Dead Island 1 at one point. And the yeah, let's see, yeah, it was also really cool seeing, I guess I did mention, but yeah, the hallway scene with them fighting off the robots and all. And yeah, so Nawam returns to his ship and says he's going to conquer the galaxy in the name of peace, which, like, yeah, see, when you say peace, I kind of think you mean the other thing. And I think, then, and that's again a thing of like, I don't know if George Lucas is still, watching what has become of Star Wars. Seriously though, I think largely Disney Star Wars has been good, sometimes amazing. I maintain that Andor is the best Star Wars thing, just in my opinion, ever. And let's see. I guess that brings us to the. But yeah, I don't know if George Lucas is still watching, but I feel like this is something that would appeal to him, maybe. Because that feels like, oh, they like looked at history, because there are like some of the worst dictators in history specifically said, I'm going to conquer and there will be peace. And let's see. He does not glue the helmet back together, but maybe it'll happen in the next episode if there's enough fan backlash. And yeah, very impressive that Kara does manage to get out of there. And she receives the gift from Juro and all, and he speaks to her from the beyond again, something that just in a lot of these recent Star Wars does not happen as much as like kind of does in the original trilogy. I suppose that pretty much, I feel like there's at least one more thing. Yeah, Four Nines stays, and yeah, Ethan promising he'll save Kara. And he does get there when she's nearby. So yeah, very excited to see the next episode. and in general the rest of the season. I suppose, does that pretty much cover everything? I feel like there was at least one more thing I really wanted to say. Yeah, let me just real quick mentally fast forward through the entire thing. So yeah, I also really appreciate this idea of, Liu's character did one thing that he, you know, that was intense. Like, we don't have all the details yet, but it sounds like maybe it was to stop, it was being called diplomacy, but it was apparently like kidnapping, murder, that sort of thing. But, he did something extreme very publicly, and it actually inspired this copycat who all this time later is calling him master. And he keeps telling him, I'm not your master. I never meant for this. And yeah, I do think it is great to have media that conveys effectively to young people, think before you act, because even if you are only going to do this bad thing once, you might inspire someone else to do it many times over. Look at what Nawaam is doing now, thinking that this is what Liu's character wants out of so yeah. Yes. And right, in closing, so at the very start of the episode, in order to get the ships into positions, Nawaam orders assume battle stations. And ultimately, he does come out on top in this entire confrontation. I would like to caution him, though, when you assume, you do make an ass out of you and me.